Welcome to the Yankee Weekend Podcast, where we talk all things Yankee and sports related content. My name is Theta Coom, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frankie Crespo in the building. And I gotta say, the Yankees are back on track. They've made not a full recovery, but they're getting better. They're getting into a better flow. We'll talk about what's been going around for the last couple of games, recap the Pirates series with the Phillies series, along with the look ahead for the White Sox series. So, heading straight into we first talked about it on the original podcast episode. The yesterday's podcast episode was with the Pirates and the Yankees. We already covered that, so we're not going to cover that episode. So instead, we'll talk about the doubleheader. And this was a game that the Yankees definitely needed to win for sure. I know notoriously doubleheaders usually both teams split a game. Notoriously was the Mets and Braves game from like 2024 when they were like, "Oh, let's just both make the playoffs and eliminate the Diamondbacks." Diamondbacks fans were pissed about that. Heading into the first game, it was a 5-3 showdown between Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole got hit around early, but for the most part, the Yankees were able to come back thanks to a 3-run home run from Ben Rice that tied the game. So that was great to see. And we still appreciate what Ben Rice does on the plate, but not so much from the bullpen. Bullpen gave up a couple of runs. And in the end of the day, the Yankees just failed to come back this game in extra innings. Extra innings was just rough with Fernando Cruz taking on the mound. And my thing about Fernando Cruz is that he's more of a contact type of pitcher where hitters will try to hit around him and it'll be more of a weak contact. I mean, he could throw strikeouts in the end of the day, but this is my thing. I don't think that he should be in that position. He's a good pitcher for sure, but he's 0 for 2 in extra innings so far. He probably will go 0 for 3 or 0 for 5 at some point. I don't find him reliable in those extra inning scenarios. I much rather have somebody like Hedrick on the mound, but if you can't win the second game, you have to win the third game. And sure enough, they did. A very low scoring game. This was also not another bullpen game because Max Fried was back. He got the start, and what an entrance, Frankie. 5 innings pitched with 7 strikeouts, only gave up 1 hit. The bullpen did his job with Javili and Warren doing what they need to do and really letting the Pirates get absolutely no runs. So my takeaways from this series is that the Yankees are a competitive team. Losing to the Dodgers in the series, it was expected. I thought they would get at least one win in, and if not a sweep, because our Yankees are bipolar. So it's like if they get swept, it's like, oh, we kind of expect that. But you know what? Taking 2 out of 3 from Pittsburgh Pirates in a tough division race is ideal. And you know what? I will sit here and just say that I'm grateful that that happened.
I'll definitely say the same thing. With Freed coming back, obviously, sort of on a probably a little bit of a pitch counter. Only going 5 innings, but it was a great 5 innings. Only one walk, 7 Ks. I mean, this is what you expect of a elite pitcher like Freed. Um, I'm definitely excited to see him pitch again. The Yankees are gonna be excited. All the fans are excited.
Yep.
This is exactly what we needed because, we'll get into it later, but the Yankees are still looking forward to another starting pitcher, like another good starting pitcher, on
Mm-hmm.
this team. And Freed is definitely going to help relieve some of those stresses that come from getting another starter on this team. Um, and yeah, the Pirates series, pretty good, definitely. I think the Yankees, I have to look into it, but the Yankees going to extra innings in the past couple seasons has not been successful at all. And I'm not really sure why. I don't know if it's a sort of a strategy issue, like part of the manager problem, or it's just unlucky, coming from the Yankees. But if the Yankees go into extra inning games, I have like I think the percentage of losing just goes up every single time, like an inning passes. So,
Yep.
um,
Put money line on the opposing team.
if they go into extra innings, it's like one of those shifting bets, like the longer the
Yep.
game goes or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but honestly, after the obviously the Pirate series, the Phillies, um, definitely a pitcher's duel. I mean, this is I don't know if you didn't believe in Cam Schlittler at this point, you have to see this Phillies game and see what he did against this Phillies lineup. Um, 7.1 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, 12 Ks, 0 earned runs. Um, this, he's gonna qualify for the Cy Young.
He's him.
Schlittler. He is
He's
him.
him.
He's actually him. Cam is I don't it's not even an argument. He's really our best pitcher at the moment. You know, and he's been our greatest pitcher basically since the beginning of the season, and he continues to produce just really good stuff from the Yankees, honestly. Like, it was a tough game, obviously. Jesus Luzardo went pretty long also. Had a great game, despite the loss. 7 innings pitched from Luzardo, 3 hits, 1 earned runs, 9 Ks. So yeah, and then the Yankees, Bednar gets the save. Goldschmidt with the home run, playing first base that game. A lot of inconsistent hitting, but again, you were facing a great pitching rotation with the Phils, and we go into the second game. Yankees win 3-1. And then the Yankees actually get Weathers on the win, which is great. Weathers went 5.2 innings, gave up 6 hits, 1 earned run only, 7 Ks, and 1 walk. Bednar with another save. Um, Again, just not so good. Rice didn't do that good against the Phillies.
Nope.
Actually, Goldschmidt kind of did. He was successful the whole time, and again, sadly with Bellinger, just this is the series. Bellinger, he's gonna be out for a while, 4 to 6 weeks, with hamstring, and he was doing so well, leading up into that injury, and it's very, it's really unfortunate. Um, the Phillies actually was playing a bullpen game for the second game, and you could tell, and that's kind of the reason why the Yankees took advantage of that. And then going into the final game, the Yankees could not sweep. The Phillies went 11-4. Uh, you know, um, Will Warren is definitely not going to be the starting pitcher of the Yankees going into this trade deadline. I think obviously the Yankees are going to be looking for a starting pitcher. There's a few candidates out there, but Will Warren is definitely not going to be a starting pitcher. If he ends up in the bullpen, so be it. But he's no longer going to be a starting pitcher after this performance. Three innings pitch, 6 hits, 6 runs. I mean, I'm seeing triple six. Will
Mm-hmm.
Warren is going out there doing satanic things against the Yankees. 6 hits, 6 runs, and 6 of them earned. With 5 Ks. Um, Again, you got to look into third base, obviously, the Yankees, because, our third basemen have been really inconsistent so far. Also, you can't keep platooning Rosario and McMahon anymore. Like, the defense isn't good enough from McMahon to keep playing him, and the hitting is not good enough from Rosario to really keep playing him either. Um, which is kind of upsetting to say, since both of those we were really hopeful that both players would have a lot of success. Christopher Sanchez actually had a great game against the Yankees. I said that the Philadelphia Phillies obviously still have a great starting rotation. That's not going to change. Um, and they definitely had a great game. Uh, and then obviously one game of the White Sox series, which was good, 9-5. Uh, Freed again, 3 innings. Again, with the pitch counter, obviously, he couldn't go that much longer. 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 of them all earned, 4 Ks and 2 walks. Kind of a little bit harder, but again, he's coming off an injury. Give him a little bit of a break. Um, Hedrick actually ends up qualifying for the win, and then Bednar with another save. Bednar's been elite, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, it's still not known if he's going to be the true closer for this team, but he'll definitely be somebody who's important to this rotation. He's not going anywhere. He's definitely going to be a main bullpen piece for the rest of the season, at least. Tim Hill did have a blown save, very unfortunate, but the Yankees again came back. Um, and the rest of the stat line was good. Rice, Goldschmidt, Dominguez, Jazz, who's been platooning a lot, by the way, because Caballero's been playing a lot of second base recently, also. Um, And yeah, Ali Sanchez also with his historic first home run in his career, a nice one, a really nice one to left field, deep left field. So good for him. Again, he's been a very great important member of the Yankees. With the righty catching situation that we really needed somebody, and he's really stepped up. And yeah, the White Sox just not very game. Schultz started the game, 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 3 earned runs. And again, they're very weak as far as their bullpen goes. So you get into their bullpen, we should be, pretty successful. But besides that, obviously we have the current game that's happening right now. The Yankees are currently winning 3-0. It's the top of the fourth. And for the rest of the games, I was wondering actually, what do you think with the current predicted starters? Uh, how hard are the Yankees gonna win in these next few games?
Well, the Yankees, the given the position that they're in, they need to start picking up the pace with their games. As we stated like multiple times, Tampa and Boston are pretty much the teams to beat. Baltimore is kind of on the rise up. They still have a little bit of complications, but I don't think they're making the postseason. And Toronto, who gives a fuck about Toronto? Anyways, so now it's time for the Yankees to really pick up the pace. I think tomorrow, or at the time of this recording today, Cam Schlittler is going to get the start. I think he will. Well, he will dominate. Ryan Weathers, now that's a little bit of a different story, and I do think that Ryan Weathers will get hit around because that's just been kind of his mo. But I there is a possibility where we could sweep the White Sox. Now, to answer your question more fluidly, I think that our pitching rotation is honestly solid given how it's been throughout the last couple of weeks. I think also our bullpen has tremendously improved from what happened during June to July-ish, or not July-ish. Well, this year is July, but around the early parts of July when we're still coming off the June swoon, where honestly the bullpen has been great. Paul Blackburn, I'm sorry I dissed you back in episode 1, season 1 of the Yankee Recon podcast. I'm so sorry that I dissed you because honestly you're doing good. You're doing great. Brett Hedrick is doing his job. Bednar is doing his job. Camilo Duvall, okay. Angel Chavilli doing great. What do all these players have in common? They are good bullpen pieces. I don't want to touch that bullpen. But there is maybe one hiccup with Camilo Duvall, and Camilo Duvall's name has been in trade talks for a little while, and it's unfortunate because I've been high on Camilo Duvall, after his NO and not MVP, his NO All Star that he made. He was a great closer when it came to the Giants, but obviously, he wasn't a perfect closer. And given the scenario, and given now with the trade talks, it seems like they're going for Mason Miller. And there's two ways to look at that. I do think that Mason Miller will be a excellent closer to ours. Can you just imagine that? Like Corn playing and freaking Mason Miller coming out in the Yankee Stadium. Oh, it would be terrifying. But yeah, it also kind of hurts because I know Bednar is a closer. He's been that guy when the Yankees needed him to close. About 95% of the time he's come up. But it seems like the Yankees are just looking for someone that goes into looking for somebody that's 100% an 100% guy. I think Mason Miller would be a great fit. Now here's the problem: it's just like I don't think that it's the right time to get Mason Miller because we have other things to worry about. First of all, we have our shortstop situation with Anthony Volpe, and we also have our catching situation. As much as Ali Sanchez is good, do you think that it is time for a refresh from the catching position? Because me personally, I think that Ali Sanchez is fine. I think Wells just has to go. He's honestly, here's my thing about Austin Wells. It is very simple. He's been eating more burritos than getting actual hits. True stat line, by the way.
No, that's absolutely true. I always do find it funny when players who are struggling or who are not currently playing the game, very well, um, that they make content online and stuff like that, and all the comments are like, "What are you doing? Like, get back to what you were doing before, which was playing, your sport very well." And Wells is one of those guys. He's been so underwhelming, like even worse than underwhelming. Really, he's just been really disappointing. Um, basically this whole time. And again, the biggest talk for the Yankees, for any position basically all season has been, oh, the catching situation is just terrible. Because at least we've had Caballero play shortstop, like when Volpe was out and stuff, and Caballero was great. He was great.
Hmm.
Not perfect, but still great. Um, but yeah, we are desperate for a starting catcher. I still believe, Ali, as great as Ali Sanchez is, he's not your average starting catcher. He's great for what he's done, and we're very happy for that. And we're happy for him also. He's had a lot of great success, and he's definitely opened up a lot of eyes. Like, ooh, whoa, this guy is pretty legit. Um, but honestly, we still do need another starting catcher. I really don't. Again, I brought it up before. When you get another starting catcher this late into the season, you're gonna have some complications because he's gonna be starting games if you're picking up a starting catcher, of course. And the issue with that is he's not familiar with your pitchers.
Right.
That's gonna be what it is. And as great as some of these starting catchers are, especially the ones that the Yankees are looking into, again, we've brought it up, but Ryan Jeffers and Adley Rutschman are the two biggest candidates for the Yankees so far. Just for the fact of their contracts and their current struggles with their current teams, but with the success that they have had before, and that there's greatness in these players, and they're just looking for another place to be. Um, that's really the thing. Wells is not a starting catcher anymore. And then there's even the fact that we have an Uber driver, by the way, in AAA, who's having such a great AAA stay, and he won't get called up by Aaron Boone because Wells has to play, and that's really disappointing too, knowing that your manager, the Yankees manager, refuses to just let Wells kind of find his footing again, kind of find his success again. And yeah, it's just very disappointing. And yeah, I mean, I have a list here of possible trades, besides catchers, because I just covered them. And obviously we did talk about Mason Miller. Um, but I was wondering, out of the guys we haven't listed so far, who are you most excited for possibly to even end up trading for?
I mean, really anybody. Okay, so to get an idea of what the Yankees have quote unquote been interested in, so far it's been of the following: Francisco Lindor, Scuball, Miller, Mason Miller, as I previously mentioned, CJ Abrams, James Wood, Weaver might be coming back. I'll let Frankie talk about that one. But Astros for the Astros will trade up Paredes and Newt Bar. Out of all these players, I do obviously like Lindor, Mr. Puerto Rico. He's obviously been such a great player. He has a great career with the Cleveland Guardians and the Cleveland Mets, the New York Mets. The only thing that's really holding me back from him being onto our roster is that he is more of an older veteran. One, and number two, I he's as Frankie mentioned a couple episodes, he's kind of a diva. He gets himself into like arguments with the clubhouse, and right now our clubhouse chemistry is good. We really haven't had like much necessarily drama. I think the only real drama that we have has just been with the medical issues and just like when we're gonna get updates with Judge Stanton. Side note, never. We're never gonna do that because that's just how this business works. But for the meantime, I as much as I like him, he's an older veteran. I much go with more of a better youthful path. Not necessarily like baby bombers per se, but a better look towards our future. And that's why I would rather have CJ. You hear that? Much rather have CJ Abrams on our team. He's a younger shortstop. And not only that, he's a great shortstop. I loved CJ Abrams last year, and he's killing it again this year. So that's probably like my main pick. Now, with Cody Bellinger being gone, if making a big trade to get a big outfielder would work. I mean, James Wood is also a great Washington National. Now, I don't think we're gonna get both CJ Abrams and James Wood from the Nationals. I think that would be an impossible heist. I think that would be like a Luka to Lakers trade. Like only a fool would make that kind of trade. But if that were to happen, I mean, James Wood would be a great outfielder, especially with the power that he holds at bat in a more smaller Yankee Stadium. I feel like he would dominate that tremendously. Now, in terms of pitchers, I do like seeing Screwball, but I don't think that he will be necessarily a pitcher. And also on the Yankees, just because it's like he's gonna get offers from everybody, and I don't think he wanted to really play for the Yankees just because of like his history with us. But you know what? Anything's possible. I mean, the best of the best is play with the Yankees, and the worst of the worst is play with the Yankees. I won't name names, but you know who they are.
Yeah, definitely. I guess my biggest thing right now is just um we're desperate for a few different things at the moment, and we just have to find out what the Yankees are really going to be doing. Like, what are they really looking for at the end of the day? Because if we're just going to settle for one fill-in, what fill-in is most important in the moment? Is our shortstop situation that bad that we would much rather see like a decent shortstop there? Or are we really that desperate for a third baseman that we need to pick up a third baseman and out of everything? Same goes for the starting catcher. Same goes for any possible second baseman. I forgot I left out Luis Ariz has been an interest of the Yankees also. Again, Jazz is getting platooned now, and he was supposed to be a starting second baseman. We don't know what's happening there. Um, you know, uh, a guy like it might seem silly, but a guy like Lars Nootbaar, from the Cardinals, as silly as it seems, like he's not an all-star, he's had success in the past, whatever, but that's a guy that consistency is key, and that's what the Yankees are really missing. They're missing consistency. Um, because all our consistent players are hurt, for the most part. Besides, I would say Goldschmidt and Rice. Those are other consistent players who are playing every day that they've been healthy, thankfully. Um, but besides that, everyone else has been really inconsistent. Um, yeah, I mean, even Paredes from the Astros, uh, the Astros are looking to make a push into the postseason, and I'm not sure how the Yankees could even possibly find a way to trade any of their decent players at the moment. Um, and yeah, I really don't know. And then I guess there was a big news piece that came out recently, which had Weaver possibly in talks. And the reason why, listen, it doesn't matter. Like, what I would say is baseball is always a shifting game. It's always a changing game. Um, Relievers come and go, closers come and go. But if you're good, there's always a chance that the door's open again for you to come back to a team that you've been on. We've seen
Mm-hmm.
it before. There were talks that Chapman would come back. I don't think that's happening because Chapman has some sort of grudge against the Yankees, which is fine. I understand. Um, so that's not gonna happen. But a guy like Weaver possibly is somebody that might come back. Again, that he did have his struggles with the Yankees, especially in his final season before he ended up leaving for the Mets. But here's a guy that he's had such great strides, with the Mets, and he's arguably, opponents are hitting like below 100 against him, and he's been a righty killer this whole time, and that's something our bullpen is kind of missing. Like you brought it up, Duvall has not had success on this team. Um, a guy like Fernando Cruz, also the same thing. So, we're really looking for a guy who's going to dominate righties. And guess what? Weaver has been kind of that guy in the past few months.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Mets are going to basically probably chop up their whole team. They're going to get rid of a lot of their players. Um, so, yeah, we just have to kind of find out what do you want, what's most important to us. And those are some of the candidates there.
Yeah, I mean, I always liked Weaver, even in his last year, what he had some struggles. I always thought he was a great bullpen piece. When we needed him as a closer, he stepped up. When Devin Williams didn't step up, And that's kind of interesting that I say that because that's literally what's happening with the Mets this year. With Devin Williams doing nothing, Weaver's stepping up and doing something. So as much as I would like to see Weaver back, I doubt that he will want to return with the Yankees, especially how you know the way that he was positioned into playing, where he was sometimes closer, sometimes not. I think he just wants to stick as to one thing and maybe go from there. But also, having better bullpen pieces would be more essential. Now, I did say that every bullpen piece is great, except for maybe Camilo Duvall. And Frankie hates Camilo Duvall. He hates him with a passion. He hopes that he dies and all that stuff. I don't. I don't hope that. I hope he's doing well. But Frankie, no, not so much. So, I mean, that's really it for the trade talk so far. And there's not been a lot of blockbuster trades on the market so far. We might see something at some point, and I think we'll definitely see something at this point. Actually, what it is exactly, I'm not too sure. I mean, the Red Sox, they made their first mark with the trade, traded up Curtis Mead to the Red Sox to trade for Colin early, and it was a bit of a shocker because I did like Colin early. I thought he had some good stuff, but man, that's the first domino in the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny against that is the Red Sox making this first big move. The Red Sox are probably the scariest team in the AL East, I would say. Again, they had a crazy win streak. They're having a lot of success. Their team is pretty consistent. Their only trade possibility and trade rumor, I believe, is Duran. They're going to trade Jared Duran. He's always been kind of that weird spot for the Red Sox that, he kind of has success, but he's kind of, he's a little, he's got his issues. He's definitely has personal issues. And, that's something that goes beyond baseball, really. But the Red Sox, at the end of the day, you need to play the game. And Duran has not been able to play the game for the Red Sox successfully. So they might have to part ways.
Yeah.
So besides that, teams that are going to be making trades very soon. Again, like we mentioned, the Mets making trades really soon. I would say the Blue Jays are definitely going to be sellers this season coming.
Oh
This
yeah.
current season, I don't know who they're going to get rid of. They're all you know is you're not going to get rid of Vlad. And you're not going to get rid of Trey
Shoot, I
Savage.
think Blue Jays fans want that actually. Wanting Vlad gone because he's not having a great year with the team at
Listen,
all.
I have to say, like, as much stuff I gave Vlad when we were talking about all-star starters and the fact, oh, Rice is so much better than Vladdy. Um, Listen, he's still one of the great, you know, players of the current times. Like he's still a great first baseman. He's still a great player. Just because he's not hitting for his average power doesn't mean that he's still not valuable to a team, really.
Yeah.
Um, and matter of fact, honestly, if if Blue Jay fans are going to turn their back against Vladdy Jr. at the moment, they never deserved them in the first place. He's arguably
No, I don't think they would do that. I mean, they just offered him a crazy fucking
crazy
contract.
contract.
I think it would be the stupidest thing for the Blue Jays to do. Vladimir Guerrero has given them so much in such a short time. What I mean by that is that they went to the World Series, and those other couple Blue Jay years, those are not that good. I mean, especially the wild card game where they blew a 12-run lead to the Mariners. I don't know if you remember watching that game. I remember watching that game. I was like, what is happening? But anyways, back on topic. No, that would be a crazy fucking thing to happen. I think they're just gonna have to learn to adjust. The Blue Jays have fell off tremendously from last year, and there's so many fingers to point at. You could blame the new manager that they have. You could blame the pitching rotation. You could blame the injuries that happened. You could sure blame the injuries. But I will say this: one man does not make up an entire team. Not even LeBron can, make up an entire team. Even though LeBron's the goat, it. There's so many things just went wrong for the Blue Jays, and it's time for them to just reset and focus on what they can do now.
And basically, that's what the about every team is basically going to be thinking about during this, again, trade deadline. Because even teams like the best teams in baseball, like obviously, I would even say the Dodgers. are going through some sort of weird shifts. Their momentum is definitely changing. They have to figure out certain things. So even a team like them, they're going to be looking for maybe possible trades with other teams. So it's just, of course, to focus on the Yankees, yes, the Yankees do need a trade. We need to make some moves, but a lot of teams this, trade deadline is going to be making moves. And honestly, it's an open market. You got to look for success, got to look for what's the best for the Yankees again. I'm not saying you have to get rid of the whole team. I'm not saying that every position needs to be filled this trade deadline. It could be next trade deadline. You know, if the Yankees really believe in platooning at second base or platooning at third, then fine. If they believe that Volpe's gonna have a great season starting next season, I don't believe it. But if they do, then we can't do anything about it. You know, if they think we have good outfielders in AAA, then call them up because we're gonna need more outfielders. We still have Spencer Jones. Grisham is still playing. Schneeman, Max, so he'll be playing. Um, so yeah, I just got to look for what do you want. Wells, with the catching situation. Maybe wait till the off season for to try to get a catcher because
Yeah.
um, again with the chemistry of the team, I do agree the chemistry of the team is so good at the moment. Why mess it up? Why possibly add somebody who's gonna not really mess with the Yankees, but might have some sort of disturbance, which includes players who have had, issues before, like you mentioned, Lindor and anybody else who might have similar issues.
Yeah, it's more risk than reward, in my opinion. As much as, Austin Wells is making a name for himself for the wrong reasons, it's just, I don't think it's the right time. Now, I do have to ask, do you think it's now the right time to get rid of Grisham? Because Grisham has not been playing up to par, let's say that.
Um, right time, it's not. And the only reason why I say is because Grisham hasn't had a great opportunity to play this season. He hasn't had a lot of games, mostly due to injuries, which is really not really his fault, obviously. He can't help it. Um, and I don't know what the Yankees could possibly get out of Grisham. I believe the reason why the Yankees took that extra year in the contract with Grisham wasn't just because of his success with the Yankees. I also believe that they probably also thought that if he did end up going to another team, that they might overpay for him.
Sure.
And if he ends up not maintaining that status, which he hasn't this season, but again is due to injuries, not due to plate performance really, then what if you want to try to get him back? Then you don't want to pay that big old contract anymore, You don't want to pay
Mhm.
you don't want to overpay for a player like that. So they took the little deal. It hasn't really worked out. And then at the end of the season, you have to really look into it. Is Grisham gonna be a good guy to try to invest in? Maybe not. Maybe he is. We'll see. Um, there's still a lot of games left in the regular season, and there's gonna be games in the postseason. Also hopefully. So we just got to look into that. And again, you get rid of a guy like Grisham, who's gonna replace him? Who's playing center field for the Yankees? You know, um, you still have, our outfield is really a question mark at the moment. Um, you have Schumann, that's his name. You have Schumann, Max Schumann, and you have Spencer Jones, and you have um, Jason Dominguez. That's really not your all stars. All outfielders that you were thinking about. We were really thinking, oh, Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge, and Grisham, who were supposed to be this great outfield, and it's not really working out that way.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that is a very fair statement, and you're coming from a fair point. I only really mentioned that is because we talked briefly on Trent Grisham and what it'd be like without him. He's a good hot and he's not a good hot and cold, but he is a hot and cold person. Where if he's hot, he'll get into that hitting phase. If he's not, then he will go like 0-4-40 at some point, and that's like the consistency like don't we don't need at the moment. Like we can't have that, right? Especially now that we're in win now. I mean, the Yankees have always been in a win now mode. That's just their motto, right? But especially like now when it's crunch time, when you still have a prime of a player that's not even playing, you just have a good team, then it's time to really start locking in. It's also time for the look ahead. Let's look ahead to the next couple of games brought to you by me truly. So we have the rest of the White Sox games that we'll cover in due time right after when this episode is coming out. There's still 2 games left. And the way that our schedule works is that we post Wednesday and we don't post any other days like that. Once a week, just to keep you guys entertained. So we'll cover those White Sox games. In the meantime, when we go over towards the end of the White Sox series, we'll actually go north side to take on the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley. That's going to actually be a really good series. I do like the Cubs. I think they're a scary good team. PCA continues to dominate for the team. I do think that their pitching staff kind of took a bit of a step back per se because just due to injuries from the front office. So we'll see in due time. So they'll have a 3-game set, and then the St. Louis Cardinals will come into the Bronx and we'll pace them in a 3-game set. Actually, on Wednesday, so we might get to cover that Wednesday game. We'll see how things go. But honestly, with the Cubs, this is going to be a strong series set. So I'm going to once again predict 1 out of 2. And then St. Louis, we're sweeping the fuck out of them. Like, this is like, nope, friends. We got to sweep. We got to sweep. We got to bring out the brooms. We got to make sure the brooms are clean. Like at work, what I do is just, I got to make sure I got to pick off the hairs that are from the brooms. So once they're clean, you just give a nice little sweep. So that's kind of like my predictions for the next couple of games coming up.
Yeah, I'll take the same sentiment. Because I do believe the Cardinals, yeah, we're gonna sweep the Cardinals. I mean, I've even really Jordan Walker, obviously, he's the exciting player on the Cardinals at the moment, and besides that, uh, not much really going on there. Um, and then yeah, against the Cubs, that's an exciting series. Just a lot of great hitting from both sides with the Cubs and the Yankees. So I just think it's going to be high scoring games, good action. It's very windy in Chicago at the
Oh yeah.
moment. You could tell, with the White Sox series right now that it's very windy. The seasons is, very having a very windy time, and then besides that, yeah, we just got to look forward to seeing how the Yankees are going to take on the Cubs. Um, my first thought is, yeah, getting to see PCA is going to be fun again. Um, Possibly, I believe Bregman is still playing for the Cubs if he's not hurt. Seiya Suzuki is going to be interesting. Um, and yeah, Nico Horner, who's really having such a down season this season. He was so good last season. He's trying to make a comeback. Uh, and then yeah, Dansby Swanson also, so it's always good to see him. And besides that, yeah, the Cubs, I think I actually I have more belief. I believe we'll take 2 games, 2 games out of this series.
Maybe,
Yeah, I would
maybe.
say.
I'll believe into the delusion. I'll believe into the delusion
Yeah,
for
yeah,
now.
exactly. Yeah.
hmm But no, no, no. I do think that I do think the Yankees will have a good chance against the Cubs, just because of how the Cubs have been playing their last recent games. It's been a kind of a struggle, especially with the injuries. But we'll see because I'm tired of the bullshit. We're tired of it. But you plan to go any more Yankee games, Frankie? Try to catch a few more.
Yeah, at least one more this year. I've been to way more this year than I ever have in my life. So, I've had my nice share. I've enjoyed times with my friends and stuff like that, and my uncles. And actually, I am going at least one more time for my around my birthday. So and it will be against the Astros. So I'll see the Astros. Hopefully, I get to see Jordan, and I guess we'll see what Altuve's up to. You know, let's
You
see
boo-
Paredes
are
is still on the team.
you booing Altuve?
Um, I mean, yeah, right. I mean, the whole crowd is gonna boo Altuve. Actually, you heard that Jeremy Pena might get traded. Yeah, because Carlos Correa that he might eventually play shortstop again for the Astros. So yeah, there's again every team has kind of their own mess right now. They kind of have to figure it out, and that includes it seems like the Astros. But yeah, I'm just excited to see. Hopefully, I see a good starter. The Astros have a nice little starting rotation for the most part. So I think whatever happens that game is going to be very nice. I'm going there Costanza Day. So I'm trying to get that bobblehead, obviously.
Ah, okay.
You saw have you seen it? Have you seen the
Yeah,
bobblehead?
it looks like a nice bobblehead. I would
It
get it
does.
too.
It looks hilarious, with the calzone and
But
stuff like
you
that. It's
gotta get
great.
there. You gotta get there mad early for that, though.
Yes, I've done it before. Because last year I ended up getting I was on Costanza Day also, and I ended up getting the bobblehead. We got there very early, very very early, and the line was huge. Um, but no, it was still a great day. It was a great time. Um, I believe the Yankees lost. I have to look into that game. We'll see. I'll let
Given
you
the
know.
curse, given the curse, that sounds
Right.
about right.
The history of the curse, but as of late, the Yankees, every time I go there, they've been pretty good, besides the last time I was there. But that was a tough game, honestly. And I think everybody was really putting all their like good energy onto the Knicks, really. That's why.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, I do remember that, and like that was, I think that was the more important thing. Like nobody really cared about the. I mean,
no,
they care about the Yankees, but not on that level right now.
yeah, exactly. We put all our good energy, good winning energy onto the Knicks. Like we spent like the last 2.5 innings watching the Knicks instead of watching what was on the going on. So but it was fun.
On a small mobile phone instead of
Very
just like
small
watching the
screen.
game.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was very nice. So but yeah, I'm going at least one more time. Actually, I'll try to get there another time also. But I have to look into the rest of the home games. That's it. I mean, home games are kind of sparse at the moment because it's already towards the end of the season, so I gotta see what I can get.
Yeah, I'm trying to go to one too. Hopefully soon. The Josh Hart bobblehead is it's I think at the end of the season, so I want to get that definitely for sure because go Knicks, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Obviously, we take a pricing is it is what it is. But honestly, like I would spend maybe about 50 to 100 on the Yankees, give or take, as long as they're like, as long as I could sit down and watch the game and be like, yeah, it's worth dropping $5 for a ticket and $80 on food and concessions.
Yeah, definitely. Because besides that, yeah, I guess we just kind of have to look forward to again the rest of the season. It's a nice little. We have a lot of time left. The Yankees have a lot of time left to be great. Um, right now, I would say we're good, but we have to be great.
Right.
Definitely compared to the rest of the competition in the AL East. Well, besides the Blue Jays, but they're kind of out of the. They're out of the conversation. I'm sorry, they're out of the conversation at this
No,
moment.
it's done. It's done with them. There's nothing left to talk about with the Blue Jays because it's their season's over. It's rough, coming off the World Series. But like I said, just all the wrong things happened, and they did not prepare for the worst because they weren't expecting for the worst. But that's just how it is in baseball.
Definitely. Always. It's the game of chance, really.
Yeah, chance. I think that sure it plays a huge part. I think it plays the biggest part. Why not, right? But yeah, so we'll see what goes on. I will try to maybe go to a couple more games. Let's see how the pricings go. But that will wrap up this week's episode. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to Puerto Ricans that love talking about the Yankees. Catch us next week. We'll continue to talk about the next couple of series that we'll have with the Cubs and the Cardinals and the White Sox. And hey, maybe we'll get a Yankee trade here and there. We'll talk about it, of course. Well, until then, I'm Theodore Coombe and Frankie Crespo signing off for this week's episode. See ya.
Peace.